Hello, welcome to Freedom Christian Center's Job Club. My name is Bill Leach. I'm a member here and an English professor in the Communications Department at Florida Tech in Melbourne. Today we're going to be discussing what's known as the accomplishments-based resume. In today's job market, it's difficult enough to get your resume noticed by prospective employers, and this is a good strategy to get you that job interview. So in the accomplishments-based resume, we're moving beyond our standard chronological type resume that we've all used for years, where you put your personal information at the top, followed by your job objective, and then your most recent employment backward through all your job history and your educational background at the bottom. That type of resume it's easy to put together because it doesn't require a whole lot of pre-planning, and it's quick. We want to get it out to the employer as soon as possible, but that's just not going to work in today's job market. So we're going to move beyond that and get into what's known as the accomplishments-based resume. Now, this is just a more detailed version of what Brevard Workforce calls the skills resume. In the skills resume, you highlight your relevant skills and abilities by order of importance to the position that you're applying for, followed by your brief work history and educational background. Now, we've included a 4-page handout, which you can access online. It's a PDF file that's dated 5/10/12. It has an example of a skills resume, an example of our accomplishments-based resume, and a couple of handouts on tips that go into more detail of what I'm presenting here today. So in the accomplishments-based resume, I'm just going to give you a brief overview, and then we'll talk a little bit more in detail about the separate sections. You begin by specifying the position that you're applying for under objective, which goes at the top, and how your strengths can contribute to your employer's operation. This is then followed by a list of your specific qualifications that are sought by the employer to whom you're applying to. This is then followed by the professional accomplishments section, where you quantify your achievements. If you have the handout, you can follow along to these various sections. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about each one of these sections. The objective section requires a lot of brainstorming, what I call brainstorming, which is creatively thinking about your qualifications over the years. That's why this particular type of resume requires a little bit more effort than the other two do. You have to make a list of each activity, previous job, or other experience through which you've gained or demonstrated the desired knowledge or ability that your employers are looking for. After that, you go to your professional accomplishments section. And in that particular section, you want to be very specific and quantify your achievements. So what does that actually mean? Well, putting a number to it. Here's a couple of minor examples. Like if you were to say something along the lines of maintained positive customer relations with numerous clients. Well, that's pretty vague, right? So let's quantify that. Let's put a number to that and be more specific. Instead, say something like this: maintain positive customer relations with 5,000 retail and 1,000 wholesale clients. Here's another example. Instead of saying something general like achieved production goals, try being more specific and say achieved 95% production, surpassing the company's desired goal of 90%. So you're putting your achievements out there for your prospective employers to see, and how you contributed to previous employers' operations. That's really what they're looking for in today's job market. You could be specific and say number of dollars saved over the years, additional units produced that you were responsible for, extra customers served. This is what we mean by quantifying and being more specific. So after once you start drafting, let's discuss a little bit about an effective style. We know that we have to use standard format fonts, nothing real fancy. Not colored paper, standard black and white is good. Be concise in your descriptions, okay? Normally, we don't use first person I, except for in the job objective portion of the resume. It's okay to use sentence fragments and phrases in all of the accomplishments area. For an example, don't say something like, I conducted an analysis of load-bearing parts. You could just say, conducted an analysis of load-bearing parts. Being specific about software programs that you're familiar with, instead of just saying something like proficient in computers, you could specify and say experience programming in Linux, CAD, or Quark Express. So these are tips that are available on the handout in a little bit more detail. Use active verbs like produced. There's a whole list of these active verbs that we provided you on the handout to use. These convey a positive, assertive tone when you describe your achievements. Use present tense verbs for present jobs and education. Use past tense verbs for your past jobs and education. So remember that no matter how hard you work on your resumes, they're not going to tell the whole story of you. You should always include a good cover letter along with the resume and tailor that cover letter just as you're tailoring your resume to the prospective jobs that you're applying to. Your cover letter can elaborate a little bit more on some of the accomplishments that you've listed on your resume. So remember that. Also, I would like to wish everyone good luck in their job search. If you have any further questions, feel free to come to Freedom Christian Center's Job Club, which meets every second and fourth Thursday of the month. And we would be happy to see you there. We will be discussing cover letters in more detail, interviewing, and various other subjects related to your job search. So good luck with that.